Champion of Kirkwall. That was the reward. A fine title. Every noble at the keep owed the champion their lives. She wasn't just a hero. She was now the most important person in the city. Except for Knight Commander Meredith, of course. With the Viscount dead, she stepped in to keep order. Things quickly got out of hand. The more she squeezed the mages, the more they resisted. The more they resisted, the tighter she squeezed. After 3 years of that, it all came crashing down.
I know you fear us. Knight Commander Meredith uses that fear to take control of your city. She opposes every effort to replace Viscount Dumas. And you have seen the chaos of her reign. Will you allow it?
Return to your homes. This farce is over.
Wait! Perhaps there are some who might disagree with you, Knight Commander.
Do not hide behind the champion. She has no role in this.
Sounds like you two have quite the little argument going.
This is not an argument. It's treason.
I think the champion's views would be appreciated. Or do you fear what she has to say?
I fear nothing. My only interest here is in keeping order and protecting the innocent.
What are you trying to do here? Cause a rebellion?
The people of this city need to know what is really happening.
And then what? They tear down the gallows with pitchforks and torches? That would be better?
It cannot be worse. Your refusal to listen to reason leaves me no choice.
What I refuse to listen to are excuses. Perhaps you are ill-fit to your position if you cannot understand this.
You're hardly receptive to whatever gets in your way.
And I become less receptive each moment this nonsense continues.
Your measures have become more extreme over the last 3 years.
And you could do better? How well did you guard your own mother? Did she not die at a blood mage's hands?
Leave my mother out of this.
Cold corpses speak louder than abstract freedoms, do they not? As long as that's true, Kirkwall needs its Templars more than it needs a new ruler.
And when will that end? When will you stop seeing evil in every corner?
When it's no longer there.
The first enchanter accused you of trying to take control of the city.
The city. I am trying to keep order until there is a ruler capable of succeeding where Dumas failed.
And if not, will the Templars rule Kirkwall forever?
We will not stand idle while the city burns around us.
The Templar Order exists to guard the Chantry and Circle. I suggest you let the nobility rule the city.
I do not need you or anyone to tell me what my duty is, Mage.
The first enchanter is right. You should not be ruling Kirkwall.
And yet I shall continue, until such a time as the city is safe.
Do you see? She is incapable of reason.
Sorry to break it to you, Meredith, but I think you're wrong.
Face the truth, Knight Commander. You are done.
That is for me to decide, no one else.
My. Such a terrible commotion.
This mage incites rebellion, Your Grace. I am dealing with the matter.
Ah, Orsino. So frustrated. Do you think this is truly wise?
No, Your Grace.
Of course not. Young men, would you show the first enchanter back to the circle? Gently, if you please.
Your Grace! He should be clapped in irons, made an example of!
That's enough, Meredith. This demeans us all. Surely you can see that. Go back to the gallows and calm down, like a good girl. You have my thanks for stepping in, champion. If you had not...
You're the Grand Cleric. Aren't you in charge of the Templars and Circle?
Oh my. You have quite the estimation of my abilities. Gentle people of Kirkwall, return to your homes, I implore you. This will not be solved today. And now I must attend to the gallows. They will see reason if the Maker wills it. Thank you again, champion.
Good day.
Have I ever mentioned that I like your court?
You do?
It's very lively, like a crow in the middle of hunting.
That's great. Thanks, Meryl.
I tried to warn you, Blondie.
You're not helping.
Many Qunari fell in Kirkwall when we departed. I am sent to gather their swords. If you find a Qunari sword, return it to me.
I'll keep an eye out.
You will find me here.
Indeed, many Qunari did fall. Welcome back to Dragon Age 2 with Zoe Hawke. Act 3, getting underway.
Mistress Hawke, I must speak with you. You're the only one that can help. The Wardens mounted an expedition to retrace your route through the deep roads to discover whatever it is you found years ago. It's a fool's errand, and my poor brother is with them. Nathaniel Howe.
Nathaniel? Well, put me in a dress and call me a Templar. How is the old boy doing?
He's missing, Sirrah. Haven't you been listening?
I'm not worried about Nathaniel. He's crawled out of worse places alive.
I take it you and Nathaniel have some history.
Certainly. We were in the Wardens together in Amaranthine. Hordes of Darkspawn, psychotic broodmothers. Usual Warden business. I wonder if Nathaniel ever found a sense of humor.
Why were Wardens interested in our expedition?
Maker help me, I have no idea. My brother never tells me these things.
Wardens range into the deep roads all the time.
But he's been gone far too long. Something terrible's happened. I'd tell the Wardens, but by the time I reach Vigil's Keep... my poor brother...
Do you know any other details?
I know almost nothing. Nathaniel never speaks about the Wardens. It was only happenstance that I heard your name mentioned. Please, go back to the deep roads. Find my brother. You must.
Frankly, I prefer the refugees.
Okay, there is a lot to talk about with regard to the end of Act 2, the start of Act 3. We have to put it on hold for now. We popped in to talk to Fenris, and I'm going to do our level up. So Zoe is going to take a sail. It's another damage boost. Varric takes stealth. More to say about that later. Meryl upgrades one of her hexes, and Anders upgrades Glyph of Paralysis. Now, off camera, I readjusted all the tactics because we had to take some of them out before the final fight with all the Qunari. So I didn't show you that, but it's there. And yeah, sorry to just dive in and get going without a lot of proper discussion, but the film is rolling here, and this is the sort of time and audio-visual space we have to work with. So up first is Fenris.
Are you certain it's her?
An elf matching your description on the ship you named, and alone as far as I could tell.
I need to know if it's a trap.
I did as you asked, Fenris. Now it's up to you. You talk to him, Hawke. I've had my fill for today.
Then heed is first of us.
Maybe I can help, Fenris.
It's my sister. I didn't tell you, but I followed up on Hadriana's information. Everything she said was true. I had to keep it quiet, but I eventually contacted Verania and sent her coin enough to come meet me. And now she's here.
She was in Carinus after all.
My sister left Magister Ahriman's service, and I found her in Minrathous. That made things more difficult. But according to the men I paid, it's just as Hadriana said. She's not a slave. She's a tailor, in fact. Getting a letter to her was difficult, and she didn't believe me at first. But she's finally come.
You're worried Daenerys knows?
The more it seems he doesn't know, the more certain I become he does. Come with me, Hawke. I need you there when I meet her.
Where is she?
If we go to the Hanged Man during the day, she'll be there, for the next week at least. It would mean a lot to me. That's all I ask.
Okay, just like the beginning of Act 2, Act 3 begins 3 years later. And in similar fashion, we're going to run around the city and talk to all our friends. And that's why we stopped at Fenris. And notice here I added him into the party. Now I'm going to speed up for the level ups and tactics and re-equipping him. It always takes me a second because I don't have Fenris and the other companions I don't usually play with. I don't have them spreadsheeted out, so I kind of need to analyze and decide on the fly here. At any rate, it's going to be, you know the drill. We walk around, we catch up with old friends, we kind of get a feel for how are things going 3 years later. And then we also have to do vendors. We have to check the vendors. We have to buy upgrades for companions. That first quest we got right away from the Canary called Lost Swords. Several of those lost swords are on vendors and we need to buy them. And there's also going to be a trip to the Black Emporium to get an item for Zoe, and she's actually going to do a respec, and I'll explain that once we're there to do that. So it's kind of a lot getting thrown at you, and we're catching up, and I really want to talk about, the end of Act 2 and possible outcomes and et cetera, et cetera. But first things first, Devatron. It's 3 years later. We got to catch up with our friends, and the reason I added Fenris into the group is because we are going to just take care of him right away. His sister of his supposed to be at the Hangman, like he said, and there's a couple reasons we do his line first, just to get it out of the way, and I'll explain more of those as they become apparent. I don't want to give anything away.
So, the Knight Commander. Boiling in oil? That one never gets old.
This is past time for joking.
I'm helping you indulge in elaborate revenge fantasies. I think it's good for you.
Meredith will die. Do not doubt that.
Oh, go away, Justice. Can Anders come out and play?
Stop.
You are no fun anymore.
And with a new act comes new companion party banter, which is always good. We already heard from Meryl at the very beginning there. She immediately complimented Anders' coat. And also this first bit with Fenris in the party, you can expect his typical, cynical additions.
Hawke, you were courageous to speak openly against the Knight Commander. Your words did not fall on deaf ears. Several nobles are discussing, quietly, what to do about Meredith. I cannot tarry here for risk of Templar spies. If you would make common cause with us, read this.
I could use all the allies I can get.
Secrecy is paramount. I'll communicate by messenger if the need arises. Make her look after you, Hawke, and our fragile endeavor.
Okay, this is a several-part quest all over the place, and I'll just keep you updated as we, get to each segment.
Catastrophe has struck, partner. We are ruined. Ruined!
Don't panic. Tell me what happened.
A cart came back from the Boon Pit, half-wrecked, with a dozen mangled bodies. The horse pulling the cart was the only survivor, and it does not speak. Town full of rotten mages, and not one can get answers from a horse.
I'll see what's going on. Until then, try to stay calm.
I knew I could depend on you. Just like old times, partner.
Okay, predictably more Bone Pit drama, Devatron. And we won't get to that for quite some time, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Now we have a lot of inventory cleaning up and selling to do, so I'm speeding it up, but I'm going to take the opportunity to discuss the end of Act 2 and some potential outcomes. Now with regard to Isabella, as I already mentioned, choosing to romance her creates a lot of dramatic and interpersonal tension. It makes some of the choices harder, and that's great. But honestly, the number one reason I chose to romance her is to get her approval rating as high as possible by the end of Act 2. And the reason I wanted that is because if it's not high enough, then she won't come back into the final scene with the Qunari and hand over the tome. So she's just gone forever from the game. You can't have her in your party. And it's just like, okay, we're here, she's gone, the tome's gone, we have to fight the Qunari. Another bit with Aveline and Isabella, if you recall, they were at the Hawke estate right before the final sequence, and they were both asking for help. If you don't go and help Isabella immediately, then she's gone from the game forever. She doesn't come back into the final scene with the tome and hand it over. Okay? So that's why I did it the way I did it. Now as for the final fight with the duel and the Aeroshock, I've dueled him before and I've beaten him on all three classes on Nightmare. The easiest is with a mage because you can just kite him around and keep, he never touches you. Same with an archer rogue. Now you can beat him with a dagger rogue, but you need a very specific build, and it's pretty hard to do. Now, as for warrior, it is the hardest, most pain in the ass, most long, time-consuming thing you've ever seen. It is so bad and so boring, and that's why I didn't choose to duel him with Zoe. I've done it. I could have showed it to you, but it literally takes like 25 minutes, and it's really a pain in the ass, and it's really boring. It's not a big deal, but also fighting all the Qunari is a way to get more experience.
Ah, the champion of Kirkwall. Your reputation precedes you. Forgive me. I should introduce myself properly. My name is Nancio Caldera Lanos. I am a noble from the beautiful country of Antiva.
It must have taken a lot of practice to say that all in one breath.
Is mostly to impress the ladies, I assure you. I've come to ask your help, champion. Hiding among the Dalish is an elven assassin I've been chasing for months. He's a master manipulator who will endanger even his own kind to ensure his survival.
You don't seem the type to hunt assassins. Why are you after him?
At first, it was merely duty to Antiva. But after losing so many good men to him, it became personal. He's nothing but a murderer, a thief, and a liar.
Your assassin is no fool. I doubt the Dalish would hand a fellow elf over to you, murderer or no.
Ah, so you see my problem. Where that elf goes, death follows. He must be captured quickly. I've heard of your dealings with the Dalish. I was hoping you could go where my men could not. Find out where the assassin is hiding, and apprehend him.
I'll see what I can do.
One of the Dalish, a woman named Variel, is a friend of his. I suggest speaking with her first.
We won't be here when you get back. We got a campsite outside the city. Look for us there.
Okay, another quest pickup there. That one will take us to Sundermount. So, similar to the Bone Pit, we'll put that off just for a little while. You can see what I've been doing. I've been just making a big sweep around Hightown, since this is where the act begins. And picking up the quest here and doing the merchants here and talking to the companions that are here, you know, Fenris, and then just coming up this way, Aveline up in the keep.
Oh, there's been so much trouble in Kirkwall of late.
You know you still owe me 5 sovereigns, Elf.
I'm good for it.
So you think you can win the coin from Isabella? Good luck with that. Coming to the Hanged Man for Wicked Grace later?
Never miss it.
I wonder if I should try coming home tomorrow.
Guardsmen, duties for the week will be...
Lowtown canvas. 5 on, 3 off.
City perimeter by 2s. Clear by 2nd watch.
Training recruits full metal by week's end.
Anything else, Captain?
No. Thank you. Donicus, a good man. I'm sorry, was there something you wanted?
You never said how your 3 weeks in Orlais went.
You're right. I didn't.
Whew. Hot in here.
Anything else?
Your men could give the Templars a run for their sovereigns.
They've had to. As long as there's no Viscount, the Order thinks they can bark at any man in uniform. I won't have it. The people of Kirkwall need to see themselves in their guard. Lose that connection, we're just targets.
Kirkwall seems to have rallied around you.
I try to keep order, and people appreciate that. Everything else is going insane. A few complaints here and there, but for the most part, I think everyone's just glad the guard has been stable for a few years.
Just checking in. Need anything?
Yes, there's something. Come back soon. I'll get into it then.
I'll see you later.
Of course, Hawke. Nothing going on, Hawke. You'd be the first to know if there was.
Okay, now that we've checked in with Aveline, we can move on. But before we do, I'm going to scavenge a little bit with Varric, pick some locks, grab some trash loot. And notice down here in the barracks, you know, it's city guard, right? That makes sense. But there's a change as we move up into this other part of the keep and look around.
Hello again, champion.
What do we notice? See that? See that? Templars, Devatron. Not city guard.
You're in my life.
Up here near where the Viscount's office was, look at this. Templars, okay? So, as the opening dialogue between Orsino and Meredith would suggest, the Templars have sort of moved into this vacuum of power since the death of the Viscount.
Few people are worthy of an invitation, you know? They search the sewers for the Emporium. The cost, poor urchin. And I tell urchin to say, no, you are not worthy. Starve in the sewers. Never speaks.
Okay, as promised, a trip to the Black Emporium. That sword there, the Blade of 1,000 Battles, that will ultimately be Zoe's weapon, but we don't have enough gold now. And instead, what we're going to do here is buy this Ring of No Wishes. Now, it's another +1 all attributes, but notice the passives: immunity to stun and immunity to critical hits. And on one of the other items we bought at the end of Act 2 from this same vendor, I think the ring gave immunity to flanking, or maybe the necklace. So what that does is it essentially frees up 2 talent points for Zoe. Because if you recall, in the weapon and shield line, she had a talent called Perception, which provided immunity to flanking. And then another talent called Safeguard, which provided immunity to critical hits. So those 2 jewelry pieces now cover that, and this is why we're doing the respec, because we no longer need those talents. And like I already said, each of these 4 jewelry pieces gives +1 to all attributes. So that's, 4 pieces +4 across the board. So these are really nice jewelry items, and they make your Hawke really strong. As for the build and why I'm speeding up and not explaining everything, it's exactly the same. The talents, how she plays, the hotbar, everything's going to look the same, so I don't need to explain every little thing. All we're doing is we're taking those 2 talents back from the weapon and shield line, and then I'm going to spin them in another tree called Battle Master. Now, Battle Master isn't like an amazing line or anything like this, but it has some nice stuff, and since we have the points, why not? Some stamina recovery talents, and then also Rally, which you've seen a little bit on Fenris. It's just a shout that provides a short, like 10 or 15 second buff to the whole party, and what it'll do is it'll apply certain sustainables that Zoe has active to the whole group. Like, for example, Might, So when she shouts Rally, everybody now has 10% bonus damage, you see. And it also gives them increased mana or stamina regeneration. So it's a pretty good shout. So yeah, that's what we spent the extra points on. Now, when we left the keep, I was talking about, the Templars and whatnot taking control, and without ruining anything, the opening dialogue pretty much just threw it in your face. That's going to be the driving tension for Act 3, and it's been sort of boiling in the background the whole game. But it's time for the Templar and the Mage tension to be resolved one way or the other. And at the end of Act 2, the game introduced both Knight Commander Meredith and First Enchanter Orsino to you. And then, of course, as you saw, that's how Act 3 begins, with their debate. And as you've seen all along, we've been, very pro-mage and sympathetic to the mages and Anders. And moving forward, keep that in mind as we interact with Meredith and Orsino. And along those lines, our next stop is Anders and his clinic, and so we'll be checking up, on him, but also learning a little bit more about how the mages have been treated the past 3 years under Meredith's control.
You think I don't know the city guard is just another arm of the Templars?
That is completely unfair.
If they show up here, I'll know who to blame. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to see that. I just can't be too careful, now that the Knight Commander has basically appointed herself Viscount.
I can't even imagine how difficult it is to be a mage here now.
It's easy for most of them. They're long since tranquil. The mage underground is all but destroyed, and those left have turned to blood magic as their only option, which Meredith knows will prevent any chance of the public taking their side.
There's still one good mage left in the city.
I don't know how you continue to believe in me. How can people be so blind? The Blight was stopped only with the aid of 2 mages, one an apostate. But it makes no difference. The Chantry set us on this path long ago. It would take something truly catastrophic to change people's thinking now.
So I'm inching up to avoid triggering this combat that's just ahead, because there's a party dialogue that also triggers right before that happens, and I want you to hear that.
Why was your friend made tranquil? Do you know?
No, and it doesn't matter. Nobody deserves that.
I know some mages who deserve that.
Really? Perhaps they should start making slaves tranquil. Then they wouldn't dream of escaping. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Slaves do not attract demons that try to possess them.
Which clearly justifies it. What a perfect solution.
How about you?
Okay, just a random dark town, coterie encounter. Now there is a entrance to a quest there, but we're not going to do that for now. And one thing I did want to mention, I have this new sword. It's pretty cool looking Canary-ish, and it actually does fire damage. It just appears in your inventory at the start of Act 3. The idea is, after the big fight with the Canary, you salvaged a pretty nice weapon, from the dead bodies, and that was your reward.
Do you still support the Knight Commander?
I don't care a fig for her, but she's the only one holding back the madness in this city.
Holding back? She's howling at the bloody moon. Even her own people think she's lost it. What will it take for you to see that she's crazy?
Mages in glass houses shouldn't throw fireballs.
So Fenris waxing philosophical there. Kind of a nice touch. And as you can gather from that banter and our dialogue with Anders back at his clinic, things have gotten pretty bad. Even worse than they already were here in Kirkwall. And as far as, Meredith and Orsino go, like I already mentioned, we're going to be working with each of them throughout this act. And the only thing I want to kind of mention right out of the gate here is, first enchanter Orsino. His name is Orsino, and that name starts with the letter O. And recall we were doing All That Remains, tracking down the serial killer who had taken Zoe's mother, Leandra, for his, weird, demented necromantic project. You know, one of the letters I said, just keep this in mind. It's a letter from a friend in the Circle who was
How can you stand the clamor?
Supplying Quentin with books for research, and it was signed, you know, your friend and colleague O. So that's not dispositive, you know, evidence, but it's pretty strong, and I want you to think about that possibility that Orsino was at least supplying, if not working with Quentin. And, you know, as we move forward and work with both Meredith and Orsino and the events of Act 3 unfold.
Here has improved since your rise, champion. I'd be honored to sell you anything in the store.
Okay, after we check this merchant and head back out, we're going to head down near Gamlen's house, and there's going to be the first encounter for the quest called A Noble Agenda. If you recall, that one was given to us by a noblewoman near the merchants in Hightown. She said, you know, we heard you speaking out against Meredith back there, and we appreciate, you know, could you help us with some of these Templar problems? And I said, you know, I'll give you a heads up when we're about to do, you know, a segment of it. So I'm giving you a heads up. It's coming up now.
You should have lived in Tevinter. You'd be happier there.
You're probably right.
There, your magic would be a mark of honor. Apprentice to the right magister, you would do well.
Is there a downside?
Only if you're bothered by owning a few slaves and performing the occasional blood ritual.
So they all do those things?
Just the ones who don't complain about how powerless and persecuted they are.
Mercy, sir. Mercy. I've done nothing wrong.
You harbored a known apostate.
What crime is feeding my cousin? She was whipped, half starving.
It is a crime against the Maker. The sentence is... Intruders, deal with them.
Now you fall! I'd run if I were you! Deal with me! Never fear, Eric.
I was dead. I just let her stay the night.
Wow, close call there. Couple things. When I redid the tactics at the beginning of the act, I forgot to put Tempest back in the rotation for Anders. So that was missing, and that would have helped a lot. And also when I took Stealth on Varric for his level up, I never added it into his tactics, so that would have helped him stay alive. And third, we have Fenris in the group and not Meryl. That makes it tough. And then fourth, actually I killed Varric because I had an opportunity to detonate the lieutenant. He was disoriented, and I had to take it because if you don't get them down, the lieutenants will just buff and heal all the other enemies.
So you've done well for yourself. I had my doubts the first time I saw you, but I guess there was something to that Hawke fellow Leandra ran off with after all. He certainly produced an amazing daughter. Your mother would be proud.
I just wish Mother had lived to see me become champion.
I know Leandra, and she'd be absolutely glowing from all the praise that's been heaped on you. I don't say this often, but we're the only family we've both got left. For a long time, I thought the Amel line in Kirkwall would end at me. I'm glad you've pulled it out of the grave. Leave that alone. There are things in my life that don't actually involve you, you know. Stay out of my business, girl.
That note mentioned the gem of Karoshek. What's that?
It's nothing. Never mind.
This gem sounds pretty impressive. It has a name and everything.
Ah, don't be stupid. I lost everything chasing that gem. Our fortune, our home, even Mara.
Who's Mara?
She's none of your concern. That's who she is. Why don't you head back to your fancy house in Hightown and stay out of my damn business?
Good old Uncle Gamlin, running hot and cold as usual. First it's, oh, I'm so proud of you. Then it's, you know, leave me the hell alone. So we'll get to that quest in a little bit. As usual, we'll just put it on the back burner for now.
I seem to recall you saying something a while ago.
Shut up.
I can control it. Wasn't that what you said?
So help me.
Must we come here? I hate these alienages.
Come on, Daisy. You've been holed up in here for days. If you don't get some sunshine, you'll wilt.
I'm not a plant, Varric. I'm fine.
Just take a walk around the Lowtown Market. Get some air, and I'll stop bothering you.
I know you mean well, but I have too much to do right now.
I'll let you talk some sense into her, Hawke.
Varric is very sweet. Frequently infuriating and a terrible busybody, but sweet. Were you looking for me? Nothing's wrong, is it?
Nothing's the matter. I thought I'd see how you were doing.
And I'm being a poor host, as usual. The other day in Lowtown Market, I thought I saw Mahariel. Impossible as that is. The Lost Warden. I don't know what it meant. Maybe nothing. Maybe I'm going mad. I miss them all. Even the Keeper.
I'm sure the Keeper would like to see you again.
I'm sure she would. She loves to lecture. I bet her new first appreciates that. I wish I could have seen it. It doesn't matter. I'm here now. Maybe Varric was right. Shall we go out for a bit? I could use some sunshine.
Okay, that just leaves Varric and Isabella, who are at the Hanged Man, and that's also where we need to go for Fenris's quest.
It really is you.
Verania? I remember you. We played in our master's courtyard while Mother worked. You called me.
Leto. That's your name.
What's wrong? Why are you so...
Fenris, we have to get out of here.
Ah, my little Fenris.
predictable as always.
I'm sorry it came to this, Leto.
You led him here.
Now, Fenris, don't blame your sister. She did what any good Imperial citizen should.
I never wanted these filthy markings, Daenerys. But I won't let you kill me to get them.
How little you know, my pet. And this is your new mistress, then? The champion of Kirkwall. Quite lovely.
Fenris doesn't belong to anyone.
Do I detect a note of jealousy? It's not surprising. The lad is rather skilled, isn't he?
Shut your mouth, Daenerys.
The word is master.
is here.
Practically there. You messed with the wrong
are no longer my master.
I had no choice, Leto.
Stop calling me that.
He was going to make me his apprentice. I would have been a magister.
You sold out your own brother to become a magister.
Your sister's a mage? You bloody hypocrite. You really are just jealous.
You have no idea what we went through, what I've had to do since Mother died. This was my only chance.
And now you have no chance at all.
Please, don't do this. Please, tell him to stop.
Wait. Don't kill her.
Why not? She was ready to see me killed. What is she to me other than just one more tool of the Magisters?
This is your family, Fenris.
Elf, Fenris. I know how hard this is to believe, but this is the last thing you want to do.
Get out.
You said you didn't ask for this, but that's not true. You wanted it. You competed for it. When you won, you used the boon to have Mother and I freed.
Why are you telling me this?
Freedom was no boon. I look on you now, and I think you received the better end of the bargain.
I thought discovering my past would bring a sense of belonging, but I was wrong. Magic has tainted that too. There is nothing for me to reclaim. I am alone.
You have friends.
Is that what we are?
It sure isn't me.
Hey now, you could do worse.
You heard what Verania said. I wanted these. I fought for them. I feel unclean, like this magic is not only etched into my skin, but has also stained my soul. Let's go. I need to get out of here.
Okay, pretty intense fight there, and really hard one. You saw me running back and funneling. That technique works really well. I've done it where I just sort of hang in the room, but again, with Fenris and no Meryl, you're missing out on a lot of crowd control that makes it pretty rough unless you funnel like I do. Now, that staff called Eye of the Storm, best shock staff in the game, and this armor, Curai the Centurion, both just appear in your inventory after the quest is completed. So those are both upgrades, although the armor, it's not terrible, but it's kind of ugly, right? But immediately put those on, and now to Varric and Isabella.
If you think that was bad, I should tell you about the Black Marsh.
See, when you say things like that, Blondie, it just makes me glad I didn't know you sooner. Who goes to a place named Black Marsh on purpose? Now, they called it Beer Marsh. No, still doesn't work.
You've got a point. The marsh part does cancel out anything else. Flower Marsh, Kitten Marsh. No, no good. Ah, you've got company. I'll see you later.
Hawke, what can I do for you?
What was Anders here for?
Only place in Kirkwall he can get a decent drink. Blondie comes by here and I put him on my tab. He's got some stories about his days in Ferelden that sound implausible, even to me. He's not bad for a mage. Crazy, but that's most everyone in this city.
I wouldn't say no to a pint.
I should make you buy the drinks, oh champion of Kirkwall.
So, what's the word in Lowtown, Varric?
Nothing you don't know already. The Viscount's departure, a vacuum of power, troubles brewing. Get rid of one thread and another appears. I'm starting to think this city's in love with Crisis. Hope you're ready for it, my friend. I'm keeping Bianca close.
Okay, good old trusty Varric, as loyal as ever. We're going to scavenge a bit, sell with Martin in the back before we talk to Isabella. As for Fenris and his storyline, we're going to end the episode by checking on him at his mansion, but then that'll pretty much wrap him up for Act 3 and the whole game. And like I said at the beginning, his is a pretty, dark, twisted, compelling line. And the surprise ending there,
don't ingest the merchandise.
Finding out from his sister that he actually wanted the magical markings, the lyrium tattoos. He competed for them, used the boon to buy freedom for his sister and mother. And his sister's a mage, like Anders points out, what a hypocrite to hate mages, but yet he really was just jealous. He wanted to be magical and powerful because he's from Tevinter and magic is power there. Then to lose his memory and come out of it just hating magic and mages the whole way, only to find out that that's what he wanted. Great storyline. Hope you enjoyed it.
By now, you must see what an injustice the Templars are.
Must I? I see Templars trying to control what they have good reason to fear.
But they go too far.
Talk to Hawke about her mother. Ask her who went too far.
You can't hold all mages responsible for that.
It doesn't take all mages to cause this. Only the weak ones.
How have you been?
You don't have to keep checking up on me. I'm fine.
I'm just here for the rat-flavored whiskey.
Right. Remember what you said after the mess with the Kunari?
I'm proud of you for doing the right thing.
It may have been the right thing, but it was also the dumb thing. The relic was mine. I should have kept running.
I couldn't have saved Kirkwall without you.
Bullshit. You could have stormed the keep and slaughtered all those Kunari if you had to. You and Aveline. I mean, look at her. She's a woman-shaped battering ram. The fact is, you and I have nothing in common anymore. You're a champion, and I'm just a lying, thieving snake.
You're just afraid of being anything else.
I don't know how to be anything else.
That's not true. You care about Kirkwall and her people, as much as you hate to admit it.
Fine, Hawke. You're probably right about that too. Tell you what, I'll be here if you need me.
Alright, so Isabella, not surprisingly, immature as ever, but, what can you do? She's a hot mess. She is now available once again to join the party, so that's good. And, with a little strong, unwavering conviction, Zoe brought her around. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of her. Okay, so let's check in on Fenris and wrap him up.
You could go anywhere you like now.
I'm aware of that.
Oh, you could become a raider. You could join my crew.
The crew of your non-existent ship?
Well, with that attitude, you're never going anywhere, are you?
She doesn't understand. Yes, I am free. Daenerys is dead. Yet, it doesn't feel like it should.
You thought killing him would solve everything, but it doesn't.
I suppose not. I thought if I didn't need to run and fight to stay alive, I would finally be able to live as a free man does. But how is that? My sister is gone, and I have nothing. Not even an enemy.
Maybe that just means there's nothing holding you back.
An interesting thought. It's just difficult to overlook the stain that magic has left on my life. If I seem bitter, it's not without cause. Perhaps it is time to move forward. I just don't know where that leads. Do you?
Nobody knows the future, Fenris.
The future of a slave is never uncertain. But I am no longer a slave. Perhaps it is time I remember that. Thank you, Hawke. Of all the things I thought to find here, a friend was not one of them. Wherever the future leads, I hope it is at your side.
Alright, with that, we've reached an hour and a great place to stop. We've checked on all our friends. Act 3 underway. This is Zoe Hawke signing off. Dragon Age 2, we'll see you next time.